Story 1. The terrifying secret my kids told me over dinner. It started with spaghetti. Just a normal dinner, my kids sitting across from me chatting about their week at their mom's. I had them every other weekend, so I cherished these little moments, soaking in their stories, their laughter. Then my son, 7 years old and way too smart for his own good, casually dropped a sentence that stopped me cold. "We take medicine every day now," he said, swirling his fork in his plate. I frowned. "Oh yeah? What kind of medicine?" "Turpentine," my 5-year-old daughter piped up. "Nana gives it to us." My fork hit the plate. "Wait, what?" "She says it cleans out the bad stuff," my son explained matter-of-factly, as if he was telling me they had a new bedtime routine. "The government says it's poison, but it's actually good for you." I stared at them, my brain scrambling to process what I had just heard. Turpentine. The stuff you use to strip paint. The literal poison with warning labels all over the bottle. My daughter giggled. "And we sing the Mary Poppins song. A spoonful of sugar helps the turpentine go down." She actually sang it. I felt like I was in a nightmare. This couldn't be real. But my kids weren't lying. They were just repeating what they'd been told, completely unaware of how dangerous it was. I forced myself to stay calm. "How long have you been taking it?" "For weeks," my son said. "Every day." I could barely swallow. For years, I had worked hard to make sure my kids felt safe talking to me. Since my ex and I split 6 years ago, she and I barely communicated. I never pried or pushed for information. I just wanted my kids to know they could always tell me anything. And now, because of that trust, I was learning that someone in their lives, probably their mother, was feeding them poison. I wanted to scream. Instead, I grabbed my phone and pressed record. I had to get proof. That night, I called my mom. She'd been a nurse for decades. Maybe I was missing something. Maybe there was some bizarre, harmless use for turpentine I wasn't aware of. The silence on the other end of the line told me everything. "Get them checked. Now." I called poison control. They had no information on what happens when a child ingests turpentine every day for a month. The hospital wouldn't even run tests unless the kids were showing symptoms, which somehow they weren't. I felt stuck. I knew I had to act, but I also knew I had to be smart. If I confronted my ex, she'd just deny it. Worse, she'd tell the kids to stop talking to me about things that happen at her house. I could lose what little insight I had into their lives. I had to be careful. I took to the internet, desperate for advice. People were furious. "Go to the cops. Get a lawyer. Take your kids and run." And yeah, I wanted to. But I also knew how these things played out in court. I needed rock-solid proof. No he said, she said. No way for my ex to twist the truth. Because if she was allowing this, if she actually believed this, what else was she capable of? Would it be bleach next? Would she decide vaccines were poison? Would she refuse to take them to a doctor when they got sick? I wasn't going to wait to find out. Tomorrow I would start the hardest fight of my life. I was going to get my kids out. No matter what it took. In the days following the hospital visit, I was running on pure adrenaline. My kids were safe for now, but I knew this wasn't over. The medical tests came back clear, but that didn't erase what had happened. Someone had been poisoning my children. And if I didn't act fast, they could end up back in that environment. CPS launched an investigation interviewing everyone involved, including my ex. She did what I expected, denied everything. "It was my mother," she insisted. I had no idea. But the evidence said otherwise. The kids had sung a song about their daily dose. This wasn't some occasional incident. This was routine. Still, CPS didn't immediately issue a legal order. They simply concluded that my children were better off with me. Which meant that while I had de facto custody, my ex could still legally fight for them. I wasn't going to give her that chance. I hired a family law attorney. The process was agonizingly slow. My ex refused to cooperate, dragging things out at every turn. She fought for visitation, but only when it was convenient for her. She claimed she wanted to see the kids, but barely showed up when given the opportunity. Months passed. Then a year. Still, she wouldn't take responsibility. She clung to her conspiracy-fueled beliefs, insisting she was the victim in all of this. Meanwhile, my children were thriving. They were happy, safe, and slowly unlearning the dangerous wisdom they'd been fed. When the final ruling came, it was a relief beyond words. Small Blue Diamond, I was granted full custody. Small Blue Diamond, her visitation was limited to supervised meetings. Small Blue Diamond, she lost all rights to make medical decisions for the kids. She had only herself to blame. Moving forward. It's been 2 years now. The kids are doing great. They've had therapy, we've had countless conversations, and I've worked hard to make sure they know the truth. It's safe to be honest with me. My partner and her daughter have become part of our family, offering love and support every step of the way. I'm beyond grateful for the strong, stable life we've built together. As for their mother, she still makes excuses, still refuses to accept responsibility. She sees them only through a supervised visitation center, and even that is rare. She chose her beliefs over her children. I chose my children over everything else. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat. If there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's this. Teach your kids that it's safe to tell you the truth. If my son hadn't spoken up, I might have never known. And I might have lost them forever. I won't let that happen. Not now. Not ever. If this story resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever had to fight for your children's safety? Or dealt with someone who put harmful beliefs above their well-being? Drop a comment below and share your story. Let's start a conversation and spread awareness. If you found this story compelling, like, share, and subscribe to help more people see it. Every share could help another parent recognize warning signs and take action before it's too late. Your voice matters. Let's make sure no child has to go through this again. Story 2. Love, betrayal, and an $87,000 mistake. I never imagined our relationship would fall apart over a truck. But when Jake pulled into the driveway with a brand new, fully loaded $87,000 pickup, without so much as mentioning it to me, I knew something was seriously wrong. We had been together for 2 years. We were just a month away from moving in together, taking the next step toward marriage, a future, a life built on trust. Instead, he made the biggest financial decision of his life behind my back, as if my opinion didn't matter. He stepped out of the truck, beaming, expecting me to gush over it. "Look at this beauty," he said, running a hand over the glossy hood. I didn't move. I didn't smile. "You bought this?" "Yeah," he grinned like a kid with a new toy. "Fully loaded. Custom everything." I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice steady. "You spent $87,000 on a truck, without even talking to me?" His face darkened. "It's my money. I can do what I want." I felt something inside me snap. So that's how it was? Just weeks ago we had sat down together, discussing our future, budgeting for our new place, planning for our shared life. Now all of that meant nothing? Fine. If it was his money, then he could deal with his mess, without me. I turned around and walked straight to my laptop. Within an hour, I had renewed my lease on my apartment. I wasn't moving in with him. When I told him, his confidence cracked. "Wait, what?" His voice wavered. "You're really not moving in?" "No, Jake. If we're supposed to be building a life together, and you're making reckless decisions without me, I don't feel safe tying myself to that." Panic flickered in his eyes. He hadn't thought this through. Within 2 weeks, the reality of his situation hit him like a freight train. His rent, his bills, and now this massive truck payment. He was drowning. He started hinting, hoping I'd offer to help. But I didn't. And that's when the guilt tripping started. His friends' girlfriends messaged me, calling me unsupportive. One even said, "This proves you wouldn't stand by him if times got tough." What kind of partner does that? The kind that doesn't tolerate stupidity. He wasn't sick. He wasn't laid off. He wasn't struggling due to bad luck. He had single-handedly thrown himself into a financial disaster, and expected me to be his safety net. Over the next few days, our fights got worse. The stress was breaking him. He was talking about returning the truck, about how he didn't realize how much it would impact his finances. But I knew the truth. It wasn't just about the truck. It was about his mentality, his arrogance, his recklessness. So I made my decision. "I need a break," I told him. "And honestly, I don't think this is going to work." His face fell, but I had nothing left to give. I walked away that night, knowing deep down, this wasn't just the end of our relationship. It was the beginning of freedom. I never thought I'd be here, fighting for my children's safety, unraveling a horror I never saw coming. It started with an innocent conversation, a casual remark from my 7-year-old son that turned my world upside down. "Dad, Mom gives us a special medicine," he said. "It tastes weird, but she says it keeps us strong." Something about the way he said it sent a chill down my spine. I pressed for details. That's when he told me, his mother had been giving him and his little sister turpentine mixed with sugar or honey. Every single day. At first I thought I had misheard. Turpentine? The same chemical labeled poison on hardware store shelves? The same substance used to strip paint? The disbelief turned to pure, unfiltered terror as I did my research. Even a small amount could cause serious damage: seizures, kidney failure, brain damage. I knew confronting my ex would be useless. She would deny everything. So I had only one priority: getting my children help before it was too late. I rushed them to the hospital where doctors ran tests, blood work, organ function assessments, anything that could confirm my worst fears. Miraculously, their results came back clear. But the horror wasn't over. During private interviews with medical staff, my children revealed more disturbing details. They had been fed a steady diet of conspiracy theories, that the government lies about poison, that turpentine is actually a natural cure, that even tap water was making people obedient. I felt sick. I immediately reported everything to Child Protective Services and the police. My children were not going back to that house. Not now, not ever. CPS launched an investigation. My ex, refusing to take responsibility, placed all the blame on her own mother. But I knew the truth. She had been there. She had known. She had let it happen. Over the next 2 years, I fought for my kids, through legal battles, supervised visitations, and emotional trauma that no child should ever endure. The courts eventually restricted my ex's parental rights. Her visits became rare, her influence over them slowly fading. Now my children are safe. They are healthy. They are surrounded by love, truth, and stability. But the scars of this nightmare will never fully fade. If there's one thing I've learned from this, it's this. Teach your kids to speak up. Listen to them. Believe them. It could save their lives. Does this story resonate with you? What would you have done in this situation? Let me know in the comments. This is a real and terrifying issue. Children should never be put in danger because of misinformation. Help spread awareness by liking, sharing, and commenting so more people can recognize the warning signs and protect their loved ones. Like, share, and comment to make sure no child ever goes through this again.